The world turns, and with each turn, a change. And each change makes it more complex, unpredictable, enigmatic. The world keeps turning. And from the Pellicer and Heredia practice, we anticipate everything that is going to happen. Brexit, artificial intelligence, new commercial borders, legal tech. The world keeps turning, and it commands the reliance on international lawyers who are capable of interpreting this new reality with integrity, honesty, and transparency, offering answers to so many new questions. Whatever it is, ask us. At Pellicer and Heredia, we know how.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us today on the 14th of June, 2023. Today, we're going to talk about the important subject of the Nomad Visa. Many of you know that came into force in January 2023. And many of you have been asking who qualifies, what are the difficulties, what are the advantages against Golden Visa and Non-Lucrative Visa? And we're going to discuss it all over in this webinar. A lot of questions as well about taxation, about the 720, whether that applies inheritance tax to the nomads. Income tax, how does it work? What are the allowances, etc., etc., and how to get the visa for those of a non-European country. Well, we've got the pleasure to introduce you here. We've got on one side, Pedro. Hello, Pedro, can you hear me?
Oh, Ignacio, I can hear you perfectly. Hello, everyone.
Right. Pedro is a specialist on immigration, along a lot of things, and he will tell us a little bit about the new reality, the new legal scenario about the nomads in Spain. In the south of Andalusia, we've got Mr. Davies, Michael Davies. Hello, Michael.
Hello, Ignacio. Hello, Pedro. Thank you for inviting me to your webinar.
Thank you very much, Michael, for spending the time to give your expertise and then tell us a little bit more about how is the situation in Andalusia and all the ins and outs. I'm going to pass over to Pedro. We have on the team more people involved because we've got a team of 4 people specializing on a daily basis on immigration. And please feel free within this hour of our time to send us questions and we'll try to provide the answers if possible. You will find in our website as well previous webinars, and you'll find a guide about the Nomad Visa. Pedro will tell us a little bit more about the ins and outs from January to today, how things have developed and where we are. I think I'm going to pass over to Pedro, who will explain briefly, and then we'll come with questions and answers. Over to you, Pedro.
Okay, Ignacio. Hello, Michael, and hello, everyone. Okay, this has been a big topic in the last months about this Nomad Visa. It's been a big attraction right now in Spain in order to, to at the end to attract this like teletrabajo, which means like work remotely in Spain from companies outside. That is it was amended really the investment law, which is many of you probably remember that is still going on a Golden Visa. Golden Visa is an investment on property or different kind of investments. Well, this has been introduced into this law and work remotely, teletrabajo internacional in this case. So what is Nomad Visa? Nomad Visa is at the end basically is when someone is an employee of a company, that company is based outside Spain and outside the European Union, will come into Spain in order to work remotely in Spain. Also could be done by as a professional, someone which is a self-employment. I say, well, I have different clients, I work with different companies outside in Spain. We will be a little bit more accurate with this information. And obviously, someone that is able to work remotely, because obviously it's one of the requirements in order to get a Golden Visa, the Nomad Visa is a requirement to be able to work remotely. Well, through companies that are outside of Spain, you will be able to work in Spain as a self-employment also. To be a nomad visa, to get a nomad visa as an employee, you need at least a company that is valid or exists more than 1 year, and you work in the company at least 3 months. That's a requirement in order to be able to prove that you, as an employee, you have some payrolls, for example, 3 months, and the company exists more than 1 year. But also, obviously, you will need to inform and prove financial means, at least. And this is a difference between this one and some other investment visa, some other visa like non-working visa. What you need to show is that you have enough income to live in Spain, as much as, in this case, is double what it should be the minimum salary in Spain, which is 1,080. So it will be around 2,200 euros, and per year will be around 25,000 euros, 26,000 euros, more or less, if we made a calculation. So at least you need to show that you have this kind of income per year, so you will be entitled in order to obtain the nomad visa. As an employee, you are able to do it. Obviously, the kind of work that you need to do, obviously, is a work that you can do remotely, and you have to have authorization by the company with a letter authorizing you to come to Spain to work remotely, and the kind of work that you do is a work that you can do remotely. That is the basic requirements. Obviously, there are some other requirements that are needed in order to, obviously, the insurance, or in order to cover health system. Obviously, when some employee comes into Spain, it is going to be required to prove that has access to the health system. Well, this part of the bureaucracy is a little bit complex in order to explain. I will try to be brief and summarize. When a country has an agreement with Spain on a special, in this case, or social security, or has an agreement with a system on health system, then we just need some certification from the origin country in order to be able to inscribe the employee into the Spanish tax system. Will not be required any payment, and will not be required any payment to the social security, really, because it will come with the full coverage from that country. And on the other side is when it's a country that has not any special agreement. And I want to divide this into parts, really. Is one part, because Spain has agreement with most of the countries in the world in order to bring employees into Spain, but do not have agreements, just basically most of the European countries and some other countries in the world, but very few of them, in order to cover the health assistant health coverage in this case. So in those cases, obviously, it is required. We recommend always a private insurance in order to cover the year that you're going to be here. This is basically the main points. It obviously is something that, in case the company, we have some detail, we have some experience on this, company wants to be inscribed in Spain because it's going to start hiring people in Spain, then we have to be inscribed in Spain, and obviously to be updated in the social security. At this time, right now, obviously, this is new, this is brand new, even though we are in June, and this started at the beginning of the year. And obviously, right now, things are, we understand, is rolling very well, is rolling okay. At the beginning, the first 3 months, it was not the case, but we understand that right now is rolling okay. So at the end, if you are an employee of a company, you can come to Spain as to work in Spain remotely, or if you are self-employment, you show that you've been at least 3 months experience with some clients. You need one letter from at least one client, but could be more. And obviously, yeah, you have at least 3 years experience on that field, or at least you have it's a reputable degree or training degree in a reputable university or training. At least you need to show 3 years experience, or have a big, in this case, a training degree on the field that you're going to work. And obviously 3 months experience at least minimum will be proved by one of your clients if you are self-employment, that will show that you've been working with them this limited time. Is not too much time, really, which is good. It's flexible in this case. And the financial means, as I said, around 25,000 euros minimum on income you get during that. So you don't have to show savings at least. This basis, obviously, you show it will be better. And basically, Ignacio, these are, there's a nomad visa. Basically, this is the key point. And we will be speaking about taxes. When you are an employee, you are able to have access to special benefits on taxes just when you are employee of a company. When you are not employee of a company, when you want to come to Spain as a nomad visa with a self-employment situation, then will not have access to the special tax benefits as if you were non-resident, and you will have to follow the rules as you were residents, like I am, like Ignacio, like Michael in this case. We follow these rules as residents and we pay taxes accordingly as residents, as it is. So Ignacio, just to, I want to be briefly, I would like to have more time in order to obviously answer questions to anyone who is listening to us. But briefly, Nomad Visa is fantastic visa. It's very straightforward. You can get it in probably, maybe it will be in 10 to 20 days. The period of time is whenever you apply for 1 year, then will be authorized residency for 3 years, and then renewals of 2 years. As much as you maintain the situations of an employee or self-employed in this case, as much as you maintain the situation where you are working remotely as an employee or as a self-employment. Lastly, criminal recourse is another issue in order to prove. You will see, everyone will see in the pages, at least 5 years criminal recourse. Right now is really 2, but everyone has to declare a responsible, we say responsible declaration that you don't have any criminal recourse in the last 5 years. Basically, Ignacio, this is the requirements.
That's great.
There's obviously on our website, we have a list of the requirements to be accurate and to be more specifically.
Right, Pedro, thank you very much. Now, I'm sure a lot of people might ask Pedro here, because when they come over here, there is a scenario where they could register themselves because this law, Pedro, applies to non-European with regards to the visas. But with regards to the taxation, it still applies to Spanish that were non-resident from previous 5 years, European in general non-resident for more than 5 years. That's the beauty of this law, that it gives you the opportunity to come back, not necessarily apply for a visa, but you could, if you comply with this requirement, use this tax allowance. Is that correct, Pedro?
That's absolutely correct. Obviously, we have it with this amendment of this introducing this new visa with a remote to work remotely. It was also amended Article 93 as non-resident tax with these special benefits as non-resident. So someone becomes resident but has the benefits, benefits if you were non-resident for tax purposes. That's correct. Just if you were employee.
For example, Pedro, could you just in simple terms explain to the audience how this will affect for the 720, the inheritance tax, the wealth tax in the communities that is worth? Could you tell us a little bit more about those who goes into this special regime? They're treated as a tax resident in Spain, but what are the implications, Pedro?
Yeah, I mean, we need to, as I said, we need to make a difference on where you are employee, when you are not. Obviously, when you are not, you become resident in Spain, you don't get these tax benefits, and obviously you fulfill the requirements and the obligation regarding taxes, regarding inheritance tax, regarding wealth tax, and regarding obviously income tax. But when in terms of employment, in terms that you are able to get access to these special, let's say, rules on taxes, obviously there is a situation where you can get a benefit on, maybe if you have like a good income, instead of paying like, let's say 35% of taxes, then you may be able to pay 24%, which in many cases is good if your salary is quite good. And obviously,
so Pedro, so would it be the 24%? Would it be for the salary that they receive?
Yeah,
while they're working in Spain, correct?
It's 24% on the salary. And the question that we always have about clients, we inform about that, because normally when you become resident in Spain, you have to declare your worldwide income in Spain and pay accordingly. For example, Michael, Ignacio, and myself, we have income in Spain, and we may have income around the world. Maybe we get some dividends or interest on any investments, and we have to declare that in the Spanish tax office, any income that we have worldwide, according to the double taxation treaties. according to some part of taxes may be paid in one country and the rest in Spain, or maybe full amount in Spain. Perfect. We need to declare it and then pay accordingly to the double taxation treaties. When you get the special tax benefits on Article 93, which was amended as non-resident tax, you pay, in this case, a flat fee, 24% on your salary. Would you be able to pay, for example, dividends or interest or gains or capital gains of any gain or any interest or any dividend that you may get outside territory of Spain? The answer is no. So that's a good issue in order to, well, you just pay a flat fee of 24%, but you don't pay anything else regarding this, which is good.
Only
Sometimes,
salary, Pedro, yeah? So only the concept will be salaries.
in some scenarios, you may pay a little bit more taxes, but you avoid any of the taxes that you will be paying in case that you were resident in Spain.
Pedro, excuse me. Can I just ask a question? It's a fantastic explanation. We had a client that asked us the other day. Can you hear me? Both hear me?
You?
Yes.
Okay. Is there if you get a Nomad Visa in Spain, does the Spanish administration require that you stay a minimum amount of time during the year in Spain or not?
I believe with the Nomad Visa is 6 months, Pedro, isn't it? Minimum.
Yeah, that's right. At the end, with the Nomad Visa, at the end, you are resident. You are really resident. You're gonna get a authorization of residency. The law says visado de residencia or autorización de residencia, which is at the end you are resident, and in order to renew, you need to fulfill the requirements that you've been at least half of a year in Spain in order to renew it.
Okay, and for inheritance tax in Spain, are they considered resident as well? I'm presuming yes, but I don't know.
In my criteria, I agree with you, Michael. In my criteria, inheritance tax, you are considered as a resident.
Okay,
And
I think so as well. We've put in a consultation and we're waiting for a response on that from the taxman, because there's the resident, non-resident thing. How does it work? And in principle, because in most regions there's very little inheritance tax anyway. We're under the fee almost nothing. We're just declaring them as resident. That's our intention, and see what happens.
This is why it's good. This term, and this is a very, I think, good question about inheritance tax. Obviously, it's something that take to be considered. Andalucía and Madrid at this time, there is no inheritance tax, or at least very, very little. Comunidad Valenciana is going to happen. We understand that it's been announced for next year. So
Yes.
whenever someone comes to Spain, obviously there are at this time, as far as I know, there are 3 regions. Two regions, Andalucía and Madrid, and will be Comunidad Valenciana, and maybe another one will have some benefits in the future. Next year will be.
Yeah, I think we all basically agree that I think Valencia is going to have it. Well, they're going to have the low inheritance tax for certain. It's going to be fantastic for investment in the Valencia region. I think anyway.
Exactly. Also well tax. I mean, Comunidad Valenciana is getting the line of the path that already Andalucía has started, and Madrid, and inheritance tax, on wealth tax, and income tax. In income tax, there is a quote liquidation. Obviously, this is a regular income tax, nothing to do with the non-resident tax, Article 93, which is a flat fee, 24% of full stop. But with regular basis, there's going to be a reduction in many ways, on many. So in many occasions, maybe if someone said, well, I'm going to have an income of, let's say, 35,000 euros. Maybe 24% is too high, or maybe it's not, because maybe you don't have to pay anything else about worldwide worldwide income that you may get. Maybe if you have a really good income, let's say 200,000 euros. The other day we were with a client that has an income of 300,000 euros, which is fantastic.
Well, for them it's fantastic. Yeah, no,
it saves a lot of money.
So basically, just to recap here, Pedro, Michael, income tax return 24% only based on the salary. The rest will not be taxed in Spain. Wealth tax will be excluded, correct?
Yeah, exactly. Wealth tax is included, but not inheritance tax. This is our criteria.
Right, because we are
and the 720 do people on Nomad visas, do they have the obligation of the 720 form as sort of residents or not?
Well,
I mean, yeah. What do you think?
It's another question, good question. Also, I cannot answer if he's one or two. My argument is Model 720 was created really in order to inform tax office to show which are your assets in order to confirm about wealth tax, and in order to know where your income comes from. in order to connect with the income tax declaration. In this case, if you get the benefits as a non-resident, obviously it shouldn't be done that way. It shouldn't be because it's not going to be connected with wealth tax. Wealth tax will not be included as resident, will be included as non-resident. Because if you get this benefit and you buy a property of 1.5 million, obviously will be some wealth tax in those areas that is wealth tax, which is not Andalusia, which is not Madrid anyway. But obviously, in my opinion, I mean, it's a gray area in this case, shouldn't be included if you get the benefit of non-resident tax. But it's not a big issue, but obviously something that, well, it's to be considered. Yeah,
I think, is it fair to say, just so that people that don't really know anything about income tax in Spain, basically that people need to understand that in Spain, the normal system for income tax is a sliding scale. It starts at 0, then it's a very small amount and it goes up gradually. So if your income is going to be very small in Spain, then the Nomad Visa tax-wise is probably no big deal if you're on a small income of less than 30,000 euro. But if you start moving up the scale, it's an incredible deal. In other words, if you're making 150,000, 120,000 euro and up, your deal is fantastic compared to any normal resident or normal Spanish person that can be in an income tax rate as high as, what's the highest tax rate in the Valencia region at the moment for residents?
48%.
48%, so same as Andalusia. So, I mean, the 24% for those people in the high income tax bracket, it's a fantastic deal. That's sort of the
important thing, Michael, here.
We made some simulation, obviously, to say, well, maybe this is better, or maybe this is better, and then obviously the client chooses which is the best region. Important issue: whenever you become resident, or you get the visa to be resident in Spain as a nomad visa, you have 6 months to inscribe in the tax office to get this special benefit. If those 6 months has passed, you cannot do it.
And is it unlimited? In other words, once somebody has moved to Spain, they've got their Nomad Visa, how long can they be in Spain on a Nomad Visa with this fantastic 24% deal?
On immigration, it is, I mean, obviously you apply for 1 year, then you extend it to more 3 years, and then you can renew it for 2 years. Periodos de 2 años, so periods of 2 years on renewal. Okay. But for taxes, to get the benefit of taxes, it is just the year that you come plus 5 years.
Okay, so they've got 6 years of this 24% deal, and after that they go on to normal income tax in Spain if they wanted to stay.
So trying to go back to the visas, as I was going to say, the visa application goes one way, Pedro, and the taxation goes in a different way, correct? Because obviously the Spaniards that are moving to Spain, they don't need that. The Europeans, they don't need a visa. So they could apply for these special rates. Is that correct, Pedro? And the second question, could you please give us a little bit more information about the family members of a nomad with a visa?
Well, about family members is regularly about the rest of the visas. Really, at the end, you could bring your family members. Obviously, it will be required in order to be able to come to Spain on the certification of marriage, the children. At the end, is something that you are able to bring family members. Is as regularly is done by this kind of visa.
So, but Pedro, with the Nomad Visa, you're allowed to work on this special regime. But I understand that your husband and wife and the children with that visa, they are able to work anywhere with that visa. So it's fantastic, Michael, because let's say I'm working online remotely. My wife and my children, well, obviously my wife wants to develop her own business or whatever. The great thing, Pedro, is that she could even start her own business because she's got a visa to work, even though it's not a nomad, is it?
Yeah. So if you've got a family member coming over with you, then you've got to work out if they want the 24% deal as well. They have to request their own nomad visa. Otherwise, they can be over here, but they can just sign up to. They're allowed to be here from an immigration point of view, but they'd be on a normal tax regime. Is that right?
I understand. Well, what do you think, Pedro? I think the regime will be for the family as long as everybody requests for that. Correct, Pedro?
Yeah, at the end, the family members are attached to the Nomad Visa, and at the end, I mean, but if someone is want to work, at the end, the Nomad Visa will be working as an employee. The ones who come to Spain as a family members, as far as I understand, obviously, I have to say that in that specific question, we still don't have experience of family members to work in Spain through Spanish companies. In this case, what you are asking, in my opinion, obviously is attached to the Nomad Visa. And in this case, as residents in Spain, being full resident in Spain, they will have a permission in order to work in Spain.
Mm-hmm. So they will have the visa, the permission to work, but the taxation, since they are not digital and they are not on this list of startup law, probably they will not enjoy that special regime. Correct, Pedro?
Well, they obviously they could do that in case someone applies for that and they come with a family member and with a company outside to come to Spain. In that case, we'll be able to be attaching to the tax regime. Will be like an individual application, obviously. In those cases, in the case that you are describing, not. Those cases.
Yeah. So, Michael, probably the situation is the husband will apply, let's say, because comes to work, and the wife will say, well, if I'm going to work, I will apply myself as an individual, but she could get it from the one who's working, right? So basically, one person could get the job, could get the Nomad Visa for everyone, but the rest, it sounds a bit strange, but the rest have the authorization to work in Spain, anything they like. However, the Nomad Visa applicant will only be entitled and allowed to work on this basis, Michael. So he will be working only remotely on the basis of digital, right? But the rest, because they are members and the family members, they will have during that time of the Nomad Visa of the spouse or husband will be able to work here. The taxation, Pedro, probably I'm not sure about that, but taxation probably will be normal as you, Michael, or myself of these people, of the family members, if they work.
I mean, the family members and children, which is under 25, or if they are disabled in any age. I mean, obviously they have to. It has some requirements. The rules, the specific rule, still has not been introduced in a special regime on this. That's one of the things. But they have to move at the same tax year as the family member, cannot be in a different year. They have to acquire the tax residency in Spain. And obviously, in this case, I would be just, as you have made this question, just checking if there's this rule that we are waiting for, especially on these family members tax regime, in order to specify the terms and conditions to apply for this special regime to family members. But as you said, a scenario that they come to work through a company outside, that's perfect. Nomad Visa tax regime will be a non-resident. But if they work obviously in a company in Spain, that will absolutely will be not be able to get this special tax regime. That's for sure. One thing, when you become self-employment, when you are self-employment and you get this letter from a company, at least one company or more, that you are able to work in Spain remotely for these companies as a professional, and you have a contract with companies as a self-employment, you just are able to obviously to come to Spain to pay regularly as normal basis or as taxes, and this special regime you will not be able to get it. I was going to say something about. Let me just think. I was going to say, well, that's basically about this question, Ignacio. When you are self-employment at the end, well, you become and you don't have faculty to become a special tax treatment in Spain. You just are regular basis in Spain, but we're waiting for these special tax rules on this special Article 93 to be approved.
Right, Michael, do you have any questions? Shall we jump on the questions that there are in the panel?
No, I was just just from a practical point of view. I mean, I understand what the problem we've got at the moment, and that is that we're all waiting for, because it's just being brought out. There's a lot of things that are in there.
A lot of interpretation.
Basically, what I would say as a conclusion, what I would recommend is that if you're a family and you're a couple and you would both sort of qualify from the type of work that you do for the Nomad Visa, and you're both going to be in the high income bracket, you know, above €100,000, I think it's worthwhile that you both apply for the Nomad Visa independently and then bring your children over as, you know, family members. Now, if you both qualify, if not, then one of them qualifies with the Nomad Visa. The other one, from an immigration point of view, can come over with them, but they probably, by doing it that way, they will not go on the 24% tax break. They'll probably get the normal income tax deal. So the best thing is, so what I'm saying is, if both of you qualify for the type of work for a Nomad Visa, don't come over on one Nomad Visa and then put the other in as a dependent and expect that you're going to get the 24% deal. At the moment, as things are, it would play it safe. Both obtain your own Nomad Visa, and then you'll be safely on the 24% deal. Until we know a bit more about this, I think that will be my sort of conclusion.
Yeah, because actually it's been only basically 6 months from the approval, and there's still a lot of complications, Michael, with regards to registering people on Social Security, the company on Social Security. So it's pretty hard process. I will say the Nomad Visa application, from our technical point of view, is one of the hardest visa applications from all the ones we have on the table, you know. But I really, Michael, think is really worth it, as you say, because only reducing the tax and getting all these special regime for you and all your family.
Ignacio, it's normal for it to be difficult, because if you're in the high income bracket, it's an incredible deal. I mean, we're going from 48% to 24% for 6 years. I mean, it's a fantastic deal. Just think, you know, over 6 years, if you're making €200,000 a year, you're saving €50,000 each year. So you're saving if you're on €200,000 a year over 6 years, you're saving €300,000. I mean,
not just that, Michael. Also, any dividend, obviously Spain is a country that the taxes are high. It has on dividends, on interest, on capital gains from 19, 21, 23, 26%, depending on the capital gain. Obviously, all this is going to be avoided. I mean, it's nothing to do with Spain. So at the end, all that also, that maybe someone has some property because it was inherited, and maybe in the 2 years' time he's going to sell it, or maybe has some investment that's going to get a lump sum of money and then going to invest or change the investment into a CURP to an ISA or a bond or whatever. That's nothing to do with Spain. It's nothing to, it's going to be.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
Yeah,
no, it's a very, very good. It's a very, very good deal. I think that's what we need to take away. If you're on €200,000 a year over 6 years, you're gonna save 25% a year, more or less. So you pay 50 by 6. You are saving €300,000 over 6 years, in respect to what, well, more or less, just a bit under that, in respect to what you'd pay if you're a Spanish person or a Spanish resident. So it's a big savings.
I really think, Michael, is worth the hassle. I'll put it in this way, you see, because to be honest, sometimes, you know, how hard it is to deal with 2 administration or even 3. Because now you have, Michael, here, Immigration Office, Social Security, and Tax Office. The 3 together, you could imagine how much fun it is, you know? So, so not an easy tax, but it's really worth it from a business point of view. Right, Pedro, shall we move on to questions? And I know Carmen is just, and the whole team is trying to answer. We already said that minimum 6 months. So if you're not going to comply and you're saying, Mike, here, they're going to say less than 4 months, then that's not allowed, because it's like a non-lucrative visa that you need a minimum of 6 months. Basically, some of you have asked about the golden visa and the non-lucrative visa. Well, very basically, the non-lucrative visa It was in the old days, people used to work remotely because there is enough doctrine that stated that you, with a non-lucrative visa, you were not allowed to work in Spain, but you could work remotely. That was the non-lucrative visa. But the problem we had in the past, as with the legislation now, is two. You wouldn't be able you couldn't register yourself Social Security here. And two, the taxation was sliding scale, as Michael stated, gradually. So with the Nomad visa, it gives you a lot more flexibility from a tax point of view, from a Social Security point of view, and then even the benefit of all your family being able to work, even in Spain, for Spanish companies, which is great. I put it this way. We have more questions about the golden visa. Well, the difference with the golden visa, and trying to be very basic here, you will find it is, if we're talking about property, the minimum amount for the investment is 500,000 euros plus taxes and expenses. And there we getting the golden visa, having all the paperwork together, an average of 20 working days. That's very speedy situation, but you need to have everything in place. The non-lucrative visa, you need to apply from the country of origin and the Spanish consulate. However, the golden visa, you could submit it here where you are in the closest extranjería office of your new resident. Okay. Now, Pedro, shall we just, Michael, shall we move on? Please interrupt me if you find something interesting.
Let's go through the questions. I've read the first ones. I think probably we're going to be for sure run out of time. But let's start with the questions, Ignacio.
Right. The question from Debbie was whether you could, Pedro, top up the requirements, top up the income requirements with saving, and the answer is yes. You could prove part of these requirements that Pedro did confirm. You could top it up with savings, which is good.
The rule basically says about you need to show that you have enough income as double minimum salary. But also what I want to say, this is my meaning, is that if you also show that you have some savings, that's fantastic, in order to cover that you will have enough money to live in Spain. Okay.
Right, and then you have some questions here. If I sell my UK house and move to Spain in the same tax year, I will have to pay capital gain tax on the profit I make on the house. Is it still the same with the Nomad visa? Well, I think, Paula, is if you are selling the property and you are a non-tax resident in Spain, obviously, you will not include that as part of the capital gain. Now, if you are already resident, then you'll have to pay capital gain tax as a normal resident. Now, as Pedro explained, if you already apply for the for the Nomad visa and you are already in the system, my understanding, Pedro, is that the tax in Spain will be only for the salary. Selling the property in the UK will not be brought into this picture. Is that correct?
Yeah, Ignacio, where is the question? Because I cannot read it.
Is Paula asking? I don't know.
Ignacio, just give the timestamp, and with that, it's very easy to find.
Right.
On the right.
513. Paula was asking the question about capital gain tax, but basically, Pedro, capital gain tax, you will only pay with a Nomad visa. You will only pay 24% on the salary. The rest of the profit that you make around the world is not taxed.
Exactly. And obviously, I cannot read the question, but obviously, if someone sells a property and come to Spain, obviously we have explained this many times. If that year that comes and lands into Spain and becomes resident in Spain with any kind of visa, but that year is non-tax resident because it has not lived more than 183 days, then it's nothing to do with the capital gain of a selling of a property outside. I'm no problem with that. The real situation comes into when sells the property, get a gain, but that year that comes to Spain, being resident in Spain, spends more than 183 days and becomes resident in Spain. So that tax year even though you became resident in the 1st of June and you sold the property in the 1st of January, you need to fulfill the requirements and declare the gain that you got selling that property. Obviously, there are some benefits. The property that you sold is a permanent property that you've been living there at least 3 years. And from the selling date, you reinvest, well, in Spain, in a property where you're going to be your permanent home, that has a benefit in order to deduct the taxes on paying capital gain. What we say about this special treatment on taxes, when you, even though you are resident, but you are really non-resident on taxes and just pay a flat fee of 24% of your salary, it does not include anything that you may get on capital gains of selling the property. It does not enter any dividend or interest or anything like that.
Mm-hmm. Right, let's move on. There is another question. I think it's from we jump in, Pedro, here. Stacey was asking whether you could lodge it while you're in Spain and as a tourist. So you just come to Spain as a tourist, and then since you have all the paperwork ready, you lodge it in Spain upon your arrival or as soon as possible. Okay, you've got the option as well to do it from the country where you are in through that consulate, and the authorization starts when the resolution is being granted, Stacey. Okay, so that's one of the questions she made. Okay, we have another one. Obviously, can I bring my husband or wife on a Nomad Visa? Obviously, the answer is yes. I have to prove with a marriage certificate, updated and apostille. Okay. And then we have here another one. I work for a UK multinational and I'm legally employed here, but almost all of my work can be done online and remotely. Does this qualify for Nomad Visa? Obviously, yes, that's what we're talking about. What are the rules for the children that are part of the Nomad's family? Would they be able to study in Spanish schools? Yes, they will be able to study in Spain. Pedro, I don't know if...
yeah, I mean, I will be reading here on the, I mean, I can see the chat, the very first ones. I mean, how fast the visa is approved, processed by the government. Well, it should take between, it says around 20 days. It should take a little bit more because right now is running, is getting involved. Unidad Grandes Empresas has a lot of visas, not just that one, also
that was for Golden Visa, Pedro. The 20 working days we managed to do for Golden Visa. But
sometimes we
Visa.
have like great records. I've been Golden Visa, but it was, I think the fastest one was in 5 days. But it's fast. It's extremely fast in this case. And Nicola, thank you, Nicola. It says it is correct that it's not possible to apply Nomad Visa if a company you work has an office in Spain, albeit a different part of business. In this special law that I said that is teleworking has been introduced, there's also a special visa in order to bring employees into your into company structure that is based in Spain. So this is obviously this has not been brand new. This has been happening in the last, I don't know, 30 years. I mean, it's move employees from multinationals that have a base in Spain, and they move an employee that is in New York. They change it into Spain or in UK, and they come to Spain, which has already a base, a company in Spain of the same group. That's not a problem at all. It is not Nomad Visa. I tell you exactly how it's named. Es trabajadores que efectúen movimientos intraempresariales, which is employees that move, they make a movement intra companies, in the same companies or group of companies. And o trabajadores desplazados. And it's commonly said in this specific topic. And okay, let's go on from John has a question. He says, I work for a UK multinational company. I'm legally employed here, but almost all of my work can be done online and remotely. Does this qualify for Nomad Visa? Yes. Obviously, you will require a company which is valid more than 1 year. You have been working in the company more than 3 months. You need a letter of authorization that the company says that authorizes you to come to Spain to work remotely. And the work that you do needs to be briefly described that you is a work that you can do remotely. Okay. Who said another Juan? Should you enter Spain as a tourist and then get a visa? Yes, you can do it here. Once you are here, you can do it electronic here with a computer and make an application once you are physically here in Spain. I'm from the US, but have been in Denmark as a temporary resident since 2020. It will be able to be done as a nomad visa. We're talking about territory of Spain and not European Union country or even though Schengen area. In that case, we'll be able to, as a company which is domiciled outside Spain and the European Union, even though it's been working in Denmark with a kind of nomad visa or maybe a different kind of visa in Denmark, but in Spain, it will be the same. The company in the US will be conducted in order to get a nomad visa. I don't know, Ignacio, you want to read someone of them? I can see that.
Yeah, there are some ones for non-lucrative visa. There is one for non-lucrative visa. I lost it now, but basically they were talking about whether they need to stay. They said only 10 months, which is not correct. With a non-lucrative visa, you need to spend minimum six months per year. Right, so is our requirement of that. When you go over 5 years, then there is less requirement to stay. I couldn't be able to tell you now what is the minimum month. Okay, probably that's your misunderstanding. But definitely within the 5 years of a non-lucrative visa, you need to spend minimum 6 months per year. And I think, Pedro, I don't know, Michael, do you have any relevant, I think we went through the length of the nomad visa, Pedro. I think you explained that it could go up to,
there's an interesting one here, Ignacio, the one with the timestamp, 1735.
Okay.
It says currently filed in Model 210. Would Nomad Visa change this filing? Well, the thing is, I think we've explained it quite a few videos before that if you're already a resident in Spain, tax-free, you can't apply for a Nomad Visa. At least that's my understanding,
yeah,
and
that's
therefore,
correct.
this sort of situation wouldn't actually happen because if you've been filing a 210, it's because you're already a tax resident in Spain, and therefore you won't be able to apply for the Nomad Visa. So that situation wouldn't normally arise. So I think there's something that's not quite right there. But this question has come up before. In other words, if you're already a tax resident in Spain, can you now obtain a nomad visa? Well, the answer to that, as far as I'm concerned, is no. For example, I'm British. I'm here. I've been resident for many years. I'd love to have a nomad visa now, but that's not possible because I'm already a tax resident in Spain. So this person must be in the same situation. So
probably is asking about maybe it says currently filed Modelo 210. Obviously, it's a non-resident Modelo. Would Nomad change this filing? I mean, if
because they will have to be resident, Pedro. So the 210 will disappear.
Exactly.
Wait a minute. Could it be? Wait a minute. Maybe compatible because if they had a non-lucrative visa and they're a resident here with a non-lucrative visa, could they have been filing the 210? And now, if you had a non-lucrative visa, if you're a resident with a non-lucrative visa, can you obtain a nomad visa? I think you can, can't you?
I mean, you're going to stay. You need to stay more than 6 months from an immigration point of view. But if you're going to lodge the non-resident tax, that's like a different argument, Michael, that you need to speak to the taxman and obviously explain that you are a no tax code. You see, it's a difficult one, Michael. This one is a difficult one. But is it possible? Yes, it's possible. Now you'll have to defend the case whether that how are you staying more than 6 months and you explain to the tax office that you are a no tax resident based on the dual taxation treaty. You see,
yeah, the truth is the truth is there's a lot of edge cases that we're sort of just learning about, aren't we, as we're going along?
Yeah, but Michael, if the question is, could he lodge the non-resident tax? Definitely, the answer is yes. He could lodge it because it's self-assessment.
Oh, sorry, I beg your pardon. Sorry, I've got no. No. So I didn't have a strong enough coffee. No, he's talking about a 210 form, the non-resident tax return. Then it's all okay. I was thinking of the 720 form. Okay, everyone, ignore what I've just said.
Right. What else? More questions we have here.
No wonder Pedro looked baffled there with what I was saying.
This is why I said, I mean,
Pedro was trying to be polite and he was keeping quiet.
It's okay.
Pedro, I think there is a good one here, which it makes us think in a lot of scenarios. John has already a golden visa and he's on a no tax resident in Spain. Could I apply for a nomad visa if I decide to live primarily in Spain from now onwards? I think the answer straight away will be yes, but what do you think?
He is non-resident. He's
non-tax resident. He had a visa, a golden visa. He's going to be able to.
Yeah, but he's non-resident. I mean, he's non-resident really because he's not being
correct. He's
because he's not paying more than 180 days in Spain, but correct. Also he's non-tax. So let's divide immigration and taxes. So what in order to apply for nomad visa, you have to be a non-resident or maybe to have authorization or regularly resident in Spain and to apply for three years time of authorization to be resident. So it could be have a golden visa and change into a golden visa in case it's not resident.
To nomad visa, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good question, John. Thank you for asking. Yeah. I think here Matthew is asking. Matthew's asking Pedro.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Matthew's asking here if you come on a non-lucrative visa, can you start up a small company, restaurant for bar or coffee? Well, definitely the answer is no. Non-lucrative visa, you cannot start.
Non-working visa. Non-working visa.
It's a non-working visa. Now, Pedro, I don't know if the question is he wants to set up a restaurant and somebody will run it. He will be only a businessman. I don't know whether he wants to own a company, set up a restaurant.
With a company, not being really working. Obviously, you are
shareholder.
To invest. Shareholder. Yeah. That's not a problem. It is not forbidden at all. At all. What we've done in this case is many people come to Spain as regularly as a non-resident, getting authorization of residency for 1 year. And whenever they have to renew it, and the following 2 years, what they do is that they change into a working visa. A working visa is a self-employment with a business plus, proof of finance, proof of investment that you're going to do for the work that you're going to do. For example, you come as a non-resident, as a non-lucrative visa, you are not allowed to work. You prepare all the details, projects, and the restaurant, even though you are not working, you are just making an investment in a company. And whenever it comes, obviously you change into a working visa as a self-employment in this case, as a director of a company. Also, self-employment, you don't have to create a company. You could be also self-employment.
Right. Pedro, here somebody else is asking something about she's in the UK, owns a limited company, has been trading for 8 years, and sole director. Okay, I'm 50% shareholder, husband and wife, and the other 50% employed by our own company. So probably is just, I'm not very clear with the structure, but he's saying, could we obtain the visa? We own an apartment in Spain. Well, the nomad visa, being a sole director, Pedro, of a limited company in the UK. That's basically the question. Is it Stacey and 5?
I can find the question. Obviously, it's a question that in order to get the nomad visa at the end is your company, you own a company, you own 50%, you are a director, or both of you are director, I can say, or sole director. And with the nomad visa, obviously you can, in this case, you have a salary, you have an employment contract at the end, you have to conduct the application as a nomad visa as an employee. Obviously, here we can confuse the situation that it may look like you are self-employed, but in this case, I can see there's one person plus the spouse. Is that right? Or the wife. I want the other 50%, and they are both employed by our company. I think that will have to be conducted through the nomad visa as an employee, obviously, and the company will have to create the letter, the authorization, even though it's themselves. They are obviously, it's a conflict of interest in that case, but I think that's the path in order to go through. And the other side is about obviously the taxes. And that I can't answer right now, because what getting up both of you as employed and maybe can look, this look like as a self-employment in order to, this is something that we have to be accurate on this and check. I cannot give an answer on that, on taxes.
Stacey's saying that they're both employed by the limited company.
Yeah.
And both own 50%, Pedro. She just clarified the situation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well,
I think we cover. Yeah.
Anybody should be applied as an employee, and if they wanted to, before 6 months, they come to Spain as a resident. If they want to get the benefits as tax resident, as non-resident tax, this flat fee that we have spoken of, 24%.
Mm-hmm. So the requirements are being already provided here, the list of documents that you need to comply for those of you who wants to apply for a for a Nomad visa. I don't know if Tony missed the situation here when Pedro started explaining how to apply for the Nomad visa. But if you check in the chat here, you've got the library, which is the online services in our website. So you could download them, all of it. You could, the video is going to be recorded, so it will be tomorrow in our website. So you could just play it tomorrow. Okay. Obviously now he's on streaming, and once he's disconnected today, you cannot have access to it. I don't know, but Pedro, I know it's a fascinating situation here, especially because people are able to stay in Spain, family are having a visa, tax are low. Obviously, we wish we had that visa, Michael. And I don't know. I mean, we will be updating you in the law here as it changes and moves, because we believe there is a big stock on questions to the immigration office about this. But we'll be updating you as much as we explore and we get clarification. Michael, anything else, Pedro? Okay, so
yeah, I mean, just to say, obviously, this is a fantastic visa. It's been very attractive right now to many people in the world, from UK, from US, from Canada, from Asia, from Philippines, from Australia. I mean, we have a lot of attraction right now. Obviously, this is new from very few months, and obviously things are rolling a little bit more delayed than what we understood, but obviously it's going to go through. And we understand it's a fantastic visa to come to Spain and work in Spain. But as the world has changed, the needs has changed, and Spain has a big attraction because of people, because of the sun, because of the food, because of the prices are not high. I mean, it's a very, very special country to come to Spain and work here in Spain.
Okay, Michael, Pedro, could you please type your email for people who might still want to get back to you guys? Okay, I'm going to pass over to Mr. Juanfran, so he could just play the last video, and off we go. Thank you very much, Pedro. Thank you very much, Michael. Thank you, all of you. And see you on the 5th of July about buying a property in Spain, live in Santander Work Cafe. Michael will be there, Pedro will be there, and hopefully I will be there. See you very soon. Thank you.
You're new to Spain and in need of legal help. When you are in a country that is foreign to you, you want someone who speaks your language, who understands you, and who will have an answer to all immigration and nationality matters. At Pellicer and Heredia, you can count on a specialist in international law and a multidisciplinary team that can help you handle all the necessary formalities. Do you want to take advantage of the Golden Visa program? We will help you obtain the residence visa for investors through the purchase of a property or via a business project that you're looking to develop in Spain. Do you need a residence permit? Obtain it for non-profit purposes or through family, work, study, research and training purposes. If, on the other hand, what you are looking for is a renewal, we take care of the whole process, so all you need to do is leave your fingerprint. We also deal with re-entry permits in the case that you want to leave and return to Spain. And of course, we help you obtain the certificate of registration as a European citizen, the foreigner's identity number, Spanish citizenship, and the certified translation of documents in all languages. Because at Pellicer and Heredia, we know that speaking your language is the only way to gain your confidence. Trust that we repay with 2 words: professionalism and commitment. Pellicer and Heredia, international lawyers.
How to buy a house in Spain as a foreigner.
To buy a property in Spain in accordance with the legislation, the first step is to check the legal situation.
What taxes do foreigners pay in Spain?
In total, there are 5 Spanish taxes that every foreigner is obliged to pay. 1.
How are inheritances regulated in Spain?
Inheritance tax is a progressive tax.
Where to apply for the Golden Visa?
The first thing you should do is go to the Spanish consulate in the country where you live. There you can request all the necessary documentation to obtain it.